Hello, I'm Bert Bassett, and I've been a business seller on eBay for over 20 years. I even worked for eBay for 11 years. I've helped thousands of sellers of all sizes to grow their sales on eBay. Now I'm creating videos to help you. In this video, I'm going to talk about customer loyalty and repeat customers. Firstly, what I'm going to say to you is watch this video another time. If you're based in a country in which Christmas is a public holiday, it's Christmas Eve. Go and get a beer. Go and speak to your family. You've been very busy probably for the last month. There's no point in doing this stuff if it doesn't lead to something. So relax, take some time off, like this video, put it in your history, come back to it another day. But if you're sticking with me, this is the summary, so that potentially you can just watch the summary and then stop watching the video and again go away, have a mince pie, watch a Christmas TV show, chat with your family. Customer loyalty is great. It lowers your cost of sale because it means you don't have to use things like promoted listings or drop your price or anything to attract people. So you want to encourage it. It also increases conversion percentage. If people see your items and they know they've purchased from you before and they've had a good time, then they're more likely to quickly say yes, and they're more likely to say yes frequently and purchase from you. And if you improve your conversion rates, then you're going to do better in search, and even strangers will find you more easily and buy your items more frequently. It also encourages recommendation. People will say, I like that seller on eBay, rather than I just bought it on eBay. People will send links to your stuff to each other. People will leave reviews that are better. They'll leave feedback which is more effusive and beneficial to your business. Then I'm going to talk a little bit about my Christmas wish, which is, please, if there's anyone from eBay watching this, why don't you build customer loyalty into the search algorithm so that if I have sold well to a buyer before, then I have a benefit in their searches going forward. That's my Christmas wish. Won't happen, but I think it's possible. Then I'm going to talk about visual identity and how you trade correctness, which is a plain white image on your main image, for recognition, which are things like watermarks, branding, and colors all over your main images. What is the trade-off there? Is it worth doing? I think it's worth testing. Then we'll talk about coupons and how you should be offering them to try and encourage people to be loyal to you and to make a point of coming back and looking at your stuff. Then we'll talk about followers and subscribers and how important those are and how you should actively try and encourage them. Then we'll talk about the tools you can use, which is buyer groups and shop newsletter, which will allow you to talk en masse to your customers and interested followers. Then we'll talk about the manual approach to customer loyalty, how you identify repeat customers within the order system, and what you can potentially do in terms of messaging to encourage loyalty from them. And then finally, social media, making it easy for people to be loyal to you by being on the channels that they actually use to be friends and be loyal to people. And then that'll be it. That's what this video is about. I've done a search for thermal labels. It's something I purchase quite frequently on eBay, and the reason being is that I print a lot of postage labels. If you're serious about selling online or on eBay, you should probably get yourself a thermal printer in the long run. It's going to work out cheaper, it's going to be more reliable, it's going to produce better labels. But that's another video for another day. I'll talk to you about my Christmas wish. My Christmas wish is for eBay to start rewarding people who have been good sellers to particular customers. So I've searched for thermal labels here now, and when you see here, I can scroll down through all of these results. They all look pretty similar. They're all governed by best match, and all seems fairly normal. I could pick any one of these. Now I'm going to pick this one here. When I pick this one, it says, you've purchased more than one of these items. I can view my purchase history, and it tells me that listing's been updated, but this is effectively something I have purchased before. These are the people that I have bought my thermal labels from. So eBay knows this. eBay has the capability of telling me this, but it's not reflected in any way here. They are not high up as an organic result for me. They should at worst be maybe here, because this is just a product I've bought before and I haven't had a bad buyer experience. So why is there not some kind of upweighting in the algorithm that makes a seller who I have purchased from before in a satisfactory way appear higher up in search? Now, secondly, failing that, again, they know I've purchased before. They know I've had a good experience. Why could there not be a message somewhere here, like where they have eBay Premium Service or save up to 5% with multi-buy, which says you've bought this before, or you've bought from this seller before, would be even better. Because that way, if I was looking for something else that was a label but maybe wasn't exactly the same product as I'd had before, there would be a little message if that seller was there saying, look, you bought from these people before and you liked it. So, my Christmas wish to eBay is, can we somehow factor this in? Because I think it genuinely would improve the experience for both buyers and sellers. I don't really want to have to try and guess whether a seller is good or reliable. And almost the ultimate acid test of that is, have I purchased from there before and been happy about it? So I don't think anyone would really have a problem with that being a feature. And I think it's possible to do because they are doing it on the item page. So, Christmas wish, eBay, can you do that, please? Now, the interesting part here is this will segue into the rest of the video, which is going to talk about buyer loyalty and repeat customers. Now, the question you've got to ask yourself is, when I scrolled through this big mass of listings, how was it that I was able to pick out the one that I had purchased from before and click on it? And we're going to kind of discuss some of the trade-offs you can make between making your listing absolutely correct from an eBay standpoint and what they claim are the rules versus trading off for more recognition of your listing and more branding for you as a seller individually. So obviously, when I look on the item page, I can see that I've purchased from it before. And if I can be bothered to go back to my purchase history within my eBay, then I'll also be able to find this item and go directly back to it. But actually, in the real world, what I'm likely to do is just type in thermal labels into the search box and go there, because that's what people do on eBay. 99% of the time, what they're doing is they're pushing their way to your items via a standard search. Sometimes that search isn't even on eBay, it's a Google search or something like that. Now, one of the things we talk about when we talk about loyalty is how to actually break that. Because if we know that like 99% of people are just looking for things in search, then actually having a small core of people who will try and find you and will use other methodology to find you is going to be very, very useful. It's going to get you out of that rat race of having to reprove yourself every time in the melee that is eBay search. But what this seller has done is he or she has given me some real clues. So I've purchased from this seller frequently, so I'm kind of familiar with what they've done with their main image. So there's very little else you can do within search except mess with your image. We can talk about some of the other stuff. Sometimes eBay, underneath this kind of eBay Premium Service badge, will actually now show the seller name. But again, people don't necessarily remember your name as a seller unless it's something particularly zany. So there is an argument to suggest maybe your seller name should be a bit more zany so that people can then pick you out if they see that name again. But obviously what they've done here is a combination of, quite frankly, garbage on their listing, which makes it very distinctive. There is no other picture here that looks quite the same as this. There are people who've done this writing on their labels. There are people who've put UK seller, but I mean, this one has it all. Platinum is actually the name of the seller. Great value British company. Obviously, that's an asset if you're in the UK. Strong adhesive quality discounts and a union flag here, meaning that I can kind of recognize this once I've purchased it a few times. But obviously, that's not the advice that eBay gives you. What eBay is saying is that you should have a plain image. Now, what you can see is how the data is proving against this, because everyone who's selling successfully in this category and is top of search has got loads of rubbish all over their items. So they've got into a kind of war with each other, and having that clear thermal label picture is just not something that anyone does. So maybe if everyone's zigging, you zag, and you do experiment with a very clean label and see if that actually does you any good. But I would suggest that everyone in your category selling this way means that it's probably a sensible thing to do. So how do you be distinctive without necessarily going as hard as this? And also bear in mind, you should always be testing anything you do. So if you change something with the way your listings look, you should actually be looking at the traffic figures within performance in the Seller Hub to check whether it's working or not. So I'll get into this image thing in a second. Obviously, the other thing you can do is, in theory, you can trade off keywords which are going to get you searches for keywords which are going to identify you. So this guy has Royal Mail compatible 4x6, 100 by 150 millimeter direct thermal labels, zebra printers 4x6. He got 4x6 in twice because thinking that this is going to make a difference, having a slightly different syntax here. Got the measurements in millimeters, has the word direct, which isn't particularly necessary. Zebra is a prominent brand. They do have the word labels, and Royal Mail compatible is something which people would be searching for. But there's certainly space to get rid of some of those keywords and actually say, I don't really care. That's not going to get me an awful lot of traffic if I lose those keywords. So certainly the word direct could probably go. One of the 4x6s could probably go, because if you're going to start worrying about these individual syntaxes, then, there are so many different combinations that you're going to tie yourself up. I think so long as you've got 4x6, I think you don't even need the inches part of it there. Particularly, I think probably the same is true of 100 by 150. I don't think you need millimeters there. And if you've got a busy image, you can put information on there anyway. So you could put something about who you are. There is also the subtitles, but bear in mind that subtitles are expensive. Like in the UK, it's like £2.40 for a subtitle, and every time your listing renews, you pay it again. And also, subtitles don't appear everywhere. You list on desktop probably. No one shops on desktop, almost nobody. Albeit that in office supplies, maybe it's people in offices on their computer that are buying them. But subtitle, you can throw it at the problem, but it's not going to be super effective. So that is an interesting one. I actually tried this myself. So I have a main image of my cat toy, which has a clean white background. I thought maybe to make it stand out and sell a little more, I would storyboard it a bit more. And I created this image, 4.4 out of 5 reviews, 88% would recommend, over 15,000 packs sold, thinking that would work better. I tried it. I put it as my main image. I looked at how it worked from a traffic point of view, and it didn't improve anything. I wasn't entirely sure. I think it actually made things slightly worse for me. But you never know within your category. I think the thing is, my item is quite unusual anyway, so it's quite distinctive. So actually, I didn't need to differentiate it anyway. And now I was harming things like visibility in Google search and whether eBay liked it or not. But I think in certain other categories where there really is a commoditization, there's lots of similar stuff, then this approach might work, and again, it's worth testing. If you don't just want to put all this ugly stuff over your listings, maybe the compromise will be something that I've seen quite a lot of, which is coloured backgrounds. Plain but coloured. Now, this is something where there's a slight advantage. On eBay, you can experiment with that. So if we look at Amazon, you'll see that they actually insist main image has a white background. So there's never any color in here. But if you look in other fashion things, what they'll do is they'll find a color and they'll put that as their background. Now, if you have a distinctive color of your own, that's different from what everybody else has, then just something as simple as that is going to mark you out as different from people selling the same kind of stuff as you. And hopefully we'll get some kind of visual identity going. And I think that's another thing to think about, is that when you're talking about your listing, is are you creating a distinct visual identity for your items? Like, are there things in common on your image stack that you're saying about you and your business? When you look at how the listing is, are you actually putting branding in there? I have my logo so that people will know that this is my listing, and other listings with that logo on are going to be mine as well. Are you doing that? Because just triggering that whole, oh yeah, I've bought from these people before, or yep, that one, that's the one I want to click on, that's going to make a difference to you. So this image stuff and title stuff and visual identity stuff is worth kind of working on as a reflex. Make your listings look similar, make the style of your photography similar, make the way you light things similar. If you're going to experiment with different things, then maybe change your background color, but keep it plain. Or I don't think you need to be really blatant, but I think subtle, watermarking or messages where the goal is to make you visually distinctive without obscuring what the item actually is. I think that's worth experimenting with. And that kind of allows you to punch more than your weight when people are scrolling through multiple searches. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect is building loyalty in the back end, technical loyalty building. Now, most of you will be using promoted listings of some sort. And, in general, people are putting around 10% or something. I tend to advise a bit lower than that. But generally with promotions and things like that, you're giving away discounts to people, or you're giving money to eBay in return for a bit more traffic and sales. Now, that means it's worth building loyalty, because if you can get someone to click directly onto your stuff, you're not paying that promoted listings price. So you can always tend to give a loyal customer a coupon or a discount, because what it's going to do is it's going to incentivize them to come back, but also you're not going to be paying those promoted listing fees, because they're not going to be clicking on a promoted listing. They're going to be going to the item pages that you're telling them to do so. So you should always encourage anyone who ever shops from you to shop again. And there are a few ways to do it. So one of the things that you should have in your armory is, within marketing, go to discounts, create a discount. You can create a coupon. Now, the thing with a coupon is when you create one, you can click a private coupon. Because if you click public, what it's going to say on all of your item pages is, here is the coupon, you can use it. So even strangers can use it. It's not really loyalty, it's just like giving a discount. Whereas if you click on private, that means that only someone who actually has the code that you've given them is going to be able to get that discount. And you can set the percentage to whatever you feel comfortable with. And actually, what I tend to have is always have a coupon that I can give to people as a returning customer discount. And what I would say to them is, potentially, you bought something from me, and I'll put this on a flyer that I put in with the item that I sent to them, so they got something physical there. And if I use some of the messaging services that eBay has, then I will mention this as well. What I will tend to do is say, subscribe to my newsletter and you'll get the coupon, or something along those lines. Try and get them to do something. Getting them to subscribe to your newsletter or subscribe to your shop or follow is particularly useful. And what you can do is you can also set coupon limits if you're trying to be clever. You can say, look, this is a one-time use customer. Like, you can use this as a return customer, but if you want to continuously get this discount, you need to follow my store. Now, the reason why you want followers, and it's worth actually putting things in your descriptions and putting things into flyers with your coupon and into your messaging, is that once they're your follower, you can message them under any pretext. You can message people who are interested in your items and who have purchased from you before, but you have to have a specific reason for messaging them. And we'll get into that later in this video. If someone's a follower, they've basically consented for you to bother them. So someone becoming a follower is a pretty useful thing for you to have. So bear this in mind, that a coupon is a really good mechanism. The second thing being is that if your customers ever engage with you about something other than just a straightforward problem, then engage back with them. Try and be as friendly as possible with anyone who's friendly to you, because actually what you also want to cultivate is not just people who are good customers of yours, but people who are super customers. These are the kind of people who will go out there and recommend you to other people, who will come back to you relatively obsessively, will build a relationship whereby they value purchasing from you, and it's something that they really want to do. So if you sell someone a wedding dress, by God, please do put something in there saying, look, I love it when people wear my stuff and like we get a photo. I'm not going to use this photo or anything, but it's like I'd keep a scrapbook or something like that. Anything you can do like that where you encourage people to tell you their story. Now, for me, it's easy because I sell cat toys, and it's pretty easy to get people to send me pictures of their cats. But you need to kind of think, is there an equivalent I can do with that? Probably those people selling thermal printer labels, they will struggle more, but they should attempt to engage with their customers as much as possible, because an engaged super customer is actually going to be really valuable to you. You know, they're going to come back again and again. They're going to advise other people that they should purchase from you. They're going to send links to you rather than just to eBay. It's going to be a really useful thing to have. And you can segment your customers, and you can kind of talk to them through eBay messaging if they're engaging with you. A really good feature that's been around for over a year now within marketing as well is obviously buyer groups. So when you click on marketing buyer groups, it's going to tell you how many people have bought from you, how many people are repeat customers, and how many are one-time buyers. So you can see in my case, I've got 146 people versus 636. It's a decent chunk of my customers are people who've bought off me more than once. And this means that this is a good thing. I don't have to remarket to them so much. They're going to come back and buy. So I want to encourage this. With buyer groups, obviously, you can just do an engaged buyer. Obviously, you've always got followers, but previous customers and interested buyers, you can select when they purchased from you. You can select which category they purchased. You can create a name, and then it'll tell you how many people are in those groups. And once you have those groups, you can either send them a coupon, or you can use them in shop newsletters, which we'll come to. Another thing which is worth keeping your eye out, like if you're not particularly busy, then from your orders, if you go to all orders here, when an order comes in, no matter how much you automatically do things, it's worth, this could all go directly to your label printing system or something. Some people don't look at my eBay very much because they do a lot of volume and they have software to help them. But having this is going to be useful to you because you can look and see, and it's in tiny text, but underneath your customer, if they're a repeat buyer, you can get a little message. So these people are not repeat buyers. These ones are not repeat buyers. Scroll through, but this one here is a repeat buyer. So again, theoretically, you could put a little thank you extra note if it's a repeat buyer. You can say, I'm really glad that your cat liked it, in my case, Thanks very much for purchasing me again. And again, you're trying to build a bit more of a personal relationship because this is eBay. It's not cold, heartless Amazon or, mega Walmart or something. You want to remind them that they should feel good about purchasing from you because you are like a plucky underdog and they're doing their bit for a small business. So again, look out for this. And if you've got a little bit of time, doesn't take much to have like a pile of little cards or something that you can drop in saying, we really do appreciate you being a repeat customer. Do let us know whether you've enjoyed your item. Like, encourage communication is a good thing. One thing to remember though is try and get a varied stack of those messages, because if it's just robotic and you're sending the same message again and again and again to the same people, it probably doesn't look as sincere. Finally, what you want to do is also look at your shop and look at your shop newsletter. With this, what you're going to do is you're going to create a campaign and you've got a number of options. So one of the things that you want to do is absolutely set up welcome, because that way you can set up a mechanism by which you communicate to new people who've subscribed to your shop, to your newsletter. So if you're sending messages out to people saying, if you subscribe, I'm going to give you a deal, we're going to look after you. What you can do is, if you get here, you go next, you put a thank you in, you've got a message, you can feature your listings. If you've created that private coupon, there is nothing to stop you from typing in, because you've subscribed, you can now use this coupon, returning customer 10, and get a 10% discount. That is just a good way of doing it, making sure that people have always got that. You can say, look, you can only use it a certain amount of times. If you're nervous about them, keep doing it. But you want to motivate them to become your follower, because then you can show them a load of stuff. Now, once you've got them, you can also then periodically send them new products and collections. Again, this is for followers and subscribers. So with this, you don't have to have a discount running. You don't have to run a coupon or anything like that. You can just send that message out and say, here's all the stuff we got right now. You enjoyed purchasing from us before, purchase from us again. And that's what that newsletter does. And of course, coupons, multi-buy, order discount, sale event. Multi-buy, I think it's called bulk discount or volume discount in the US. These ones here don't just let you talk to your subscribers and followers. They also allow you to send messages out to people who have purchased from you before but haven't subscribed or followed you. So you can get a broader message out with these. And as I've said before, is actually, you should kind of have multi-buy or order discount on all the time anyway. So you should really be able to send those kind of emails out quite frequently too. But yeah, buyer groups combined with shop newsletters, great way to build loyalty. I know I said and finally last time, but I forgot something. The other thing you should do, because almost everybody is on social media of some sort now, is to include your social media in as much as you can. I mean, patently, you can't link directly to stuff on your eBay listings and things, but certainly with flyers and other things like that, you want to encourage interaction, but also make people aware of what your social media is. Now, I have them all. I've got Facebook, I've got Instagram, I've got TikTok, I've got the works, Pinterest, whatever social media you're on. I even put stuff on LinkedIn. You will be able to find my business on there, and some people really love interacting. And as you can see, it's modest for me on Facebook, but I've got 766 followers here. And again, every time someone says, I'm interested in this, I'll sign up, it's extra value for my business, because I can post something on here and I can drive traffic directly to my listings. I can bypass anything like promoted listings and things like that. But you've got to use every tool at your disposal. If it's easier for someone to friend you on Facebook than it is for them to follow you on eBay, because a lot of people just don't know how that works. Make it easy for them to be a loyal customer to you. Like, make sure that you're giving them as many avenues as possible. So let's go to summary. In summary, there's nothing better than a repeat buyer. They trust you. They're much more willing to convert. They're not costing you marketing money. You can show them new stuff that you know they might like because they purchased something from you before. They're just brilliant. And you should do the most you can. Because if someone actually likes you and you build more of a relationship with them, then they're going to start doing more for you, even if it's just a casual comment or a link sent out or a review left that otherwise wouldn't have been there, a bit of feedback that's more enthusiastic than you would previously have. That would be great. It's also another argument, and I kind of consistently say this in my videos, that even if you are a reseller or a thrifter or a flipper or whatever, it does pay to try and focus on something that's your speciality. If you really do sell one of everything and there's no law or reason behind what you stock, then, you know, the guy who buys a bit of copper pipe from you is not going to buy a Beanie Baby or, you know, some vintage cocktail glasses and things like that. If you actually try and focus on particular categories, then this repeat buyer and loyalty is going to be more important to you. Because if I've bought one of a certain type of thing off you, then I'm probably more likely to be useful and come back and buy something else. So making sure that your inventory makes sense together as a collection is going to make your life easier. And as I've said in previous videos, it's going to mean you are more expert in sourcing the right stuff, pricing it correctly, pricing it accurately, and servicing your customers. And eBay is so large that even if you specialize, you can find a marketplace that is pretty big. So another thing to consider when you're thinking about what you're sourcing is try and source similar things, because if you delight one of your customers, you want them to be able to come back and buy something from you again. If you just have this big mishmash of stock, then they're not going to be able to do that. But if you want to build loyalty, I would start up a coupon scheme for return buyers. I would put flyers into your packaging. I would encourage communication with repeat customers, and you can message people after they've purchased. Try not to be annoying, try not to be over repetitive, and read the room in terms of if someone isn't replying to you, then it's a cold transaction and they don't want to know. But lots of people do want to be friendly and they want to talk about their enthusiasms. If you sold them something that they're going to use, they may want to talk about it and they may want to tell people where they got it from. All of these things are very useful. Use your buyer groups, use your shop newsletters, think about visual consistency in your listings so that even unconsciously people can recognize what it is that they're buying, as in, you know, they're buying again from you. So think about that visual and verbal consistency that's going to make them think, yeah, this is familiar. I bought from these people before and it's good. Now, if you keep pushing on that, and you build those customers who come back, it's going to increase your conversion efficiency. It's going to increase your sell-through. When new stuff comes in, it probably sells a bit more quickly if you can newsletter it out to a large group of customers. It's just generally going to make your life easier. So something very much to think about. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. Tell all your friends. Put any comments in if you've got any great tips for building customer loyalty on eBay, because we're always interested. And any suggestions for future videos, please pop them in there. Merry Christmas, everybody. I will do another video probably sometime a few days from now when I've eaten all of the turkey and drunk all of the beer. Bye-bye.